Hello and welcome again to our latest Friday Fellowship session hosted by the Millfield Band. We begin as usual with the obligatory quiz, followed by Adam Rain, a valued Millfield bandsman, sharing some thoughts with us along with a piece of music which Adam has chosen. First though, let's enjoy a bit of fun with our quiz. There's 15 questions in 3 sections headed Geography, History and Sport. So I hope you'll find something in there to suit your tastes. So here we go with Geography, 5 questions on geography. Question 1. What's the capital city of Turkey? What is the capital city of Turkey? Question 2. What's the noisiest city in the world? What is the noisiest city in the world? Question 3. Which river flows through Rome? Which river flows through Rome? Question 4. What do the Japanese people call their own country? What do the Japanese people call their own country? And question 5. What's the capital city of Australia? What is the capital city of Australia? Now 5 questions on history. Question 6. How many children did Queen Victoria have? How many children did Queen Victoria have? And question 7. In which city was the Titanic built? In which city was the Titanic built? Question 8. Which war was ended by the signing of the armistice on July the 27th, 1953? Which war ended by the signing of the armistice on July the 27th, 1953? Question 9. What was the former name of New York? What was the former name of New York? And question 10. What was the name of the Protestant Revolution against the domination of the Pope? What was the name of the Protestant Revolution against the domination of the Pope? And finally 5 sporty questions. Question 11. In which year did Maradona, should I say, score a goal with his hand? Maradona never played football. In which year did Maradona score a goal with his hand? Question 12. In which country were the first Olympic Games held? In which country were the first Olympic Games held? And question 13. In which sport can you win the Davis Cup? In which sport can you win the Davis Cup? Question 14. Which 3 sports are practiced on a green table? Which 3 sports are practiced on a green table? And the last question, question 15. What is the national sport of Japan? What is the national sport of Japan? Ready for the answers? Give you a few minutes. Okay, here we go. Geography questions. What is the capital of Turkey? And the answer is Ankara. 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 Question 2. What's the noisiest city in the world? That would be Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Question 3. Which river flows through Rome? And the answer is the Tiber, the river Tiber. Tiber. What do the Japanese people call their own country? Question 4. And the answer, Nippon. 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 And question 5. What's the capital city of Australia? And of course that answer is Canberra. Canberra. And we come to the history questions. Question 6. How many children did Queen Victoria have? And the answer, of course, is 9. 9 children. Question 7. In which city was the Titanic built? And the answer, Belfast. Question 8. Which war ended by the signing of the armistice on July the 27th, 1953? The Korean War. And question 9. What was the former name of New York? And the answer, New Amsterdam. New Amsterdam. And question 10. What was the name of the Protestant Revolution against the domination of the Pope? And the answer, the Reformation. The Reformation. And now the 5 sporty questions, the answers. Question 11 was, in which year did Maradona score a goal with his hand, called the hand of God, according to him? And that was a World Cup in 1986. 1986. Question 12. In which country were the first Olympic Games held? The answer to that is Greece. 13. In which sport can you win the Davis Cup? The answer to that is tennis. Davis Cup can be won at tennis. Question 14. Which 3 sports are practiced on a green table? Not just practiced, played, I suppose, on a green table. And the answer is snooker, billiards and table tennis. Snooker and billiards can be confused with the same game, but in actual fact they're 2 different games. Snooker, billiards and table tennis. And finally, the last question, 15. What is the national sport in Japan? Yes, you've guessed it. Sumo wrestling. Sumo wrestling. Okay, I hope you got a decent score. Now let's listen to what Adam has to say to us.
Well, good evening. Ray has asked me to talk about my last 12 months in the space of about 10 minutes. So where on earth do you start? Well, let's skip the first month and go from the start of lockdown in the UK. For me, my day-to-day life changed very little, actually. I was doing university distance learning anyway. So I was spared the shock that a lot of people went through at that time of year. Although both my parents suddenly working from home and getting in my way was actually quite a shock. But we soon got over that, and so let's skip to July. Now, this is when the virus did actually have quite an impact on my life. I finished uni in the middle of July, and so I was thrown into the world of job hunting. Now, at the time I was trying to launch a career in psychology, and so I would have been volunteering for a few months just to get that experience that you need for the first job. And obviously I was not able to do that. not able to get into the building even to get that experience needed. And so I was looking for either a different career path or for an interim job that I could be doing. And maybe I was a little bit picky at first because I didn't see the huge job market crash coming in September. I think people realised that the pandemic wasn't quite over, and so there were a lot less jobs advertised from September onwards compared to what there was in July and August. And even then, there's only so many job applications you can do. There's only so much talking about yourself that you can take. And so actually, I'm thankful to Graham Wharton, for inviting me to pop down to Southwick and to volunteer down there, and also to Brian Wicker, who showed me the ropes and showed me what they do and what they get up to. It was great to experience the Salvation Army community work firsthand. I think it's an area of the Salvation Army that we're all aware of, but maybe not quite as familiar as we should be. Now, they say great things come to those who wait, and eventually the right job did come along. I saw an internship advertised with the International Social Justice Commission of the Salvation Army. Now, I have to say, at first I was quite reluctant to do another internship and all that meant. But the more I looked into it, the more it became an opportunity that I would not be able to turn down if I was offered it. It just felt right to me. Now, I'm delighted to say that I was successful at an interview, and I was indeed offered it. And so I started the internship a few weeks ago. Now, I know that the ISJC will be an unknown entity to a lot of you, and so I think it's time that we had one of my now famous PowerPoints.
So this is the International Social Justice Commission of the Salvation Army and my role within it, by me, Adam Rain. The ISJC is a branch of IHQ, but rather than being based in London, it is actually based in New York. And it is the Salvation Army's strategic voice to advocate for the world's poor and the oppressed. We have three goals. First, to increase passion within Salvationists for social justice, to inspire Salvation Army leaders to pursue social justice in their programs, and to influence global partners. We do a lot of work with the United Nations and with other non-governmental organizations with the United Nations to work towards social justice together. What is social justice? Plain and simply, social justice is fairness in society. And so the ISJC challenges the root cause of inequality and exploitation across the globe. And we see social justice as a biblically defined Christian issue. More on that bit later. If we look at the topics that we work in, so human trafficking and slavery, working with refugees in migration, sexism, racism, poverty, and lately the climate. Let's meet the team. So we have people in New Zealand, the Philippines, Kenya, there's me in the UK, and of course the office in New York. We should all be in New York at the moment, but obviously because of COVID, we're all working from our home countries. So it's been quite challenging to be working some interesting times to fit in with time zones. But it means that we have all 6 regions of the Salvation Army globally represented, and it's been great to have that diversity and different perspectives within the team. My role is research and resource development, and there's 4 aspects to that role that I wanted to share with you. First of all is content creation, and so I write for all of social media and then also for the monthly newsletter that comes out, any sort of video script, that sort of thing. One of the most challenging parts of this role is to tailor towards different audiences, particularly an Instagram audience we're targeting at the moment, to get young Salvationists interested in social justice and more so the gospel. The second part of my role is as a researcher, and so I'm able to use the skills that I've learned on my degrees, albeit in a slightly different way. Every 5 years, the Salvation Army reports back to the UN on our impact globally, and so we need a way to measure the Salvation Army's impact on a global scale. Now, this is one of the challenges for me this year, is to sort of design and develop that measure. And so it's quite a big challenge, but one that I'm really looking forward to taking on. Next is to work with the United Nations. So we have an officer based at the ISJC whose job it is to liaise with the UN. But as interns, we are able to sit on different committees. Just the other day, I was sat on a committee for migration and a subcommittee for the climate effect on migration. Now, thankfully, I didn't really need to know a lot of what was said because a lot went over my head, but what was not lost on me was the fact that I was there representing the Salvation Army and showing that we have an interest in this. The final part of my role is Bible study and spiritual development. Now, this might be a bit of a strange part of someone's job, but it's important that the ISJC are not only advocating for social justice, but preaching God's justice. And if we look throughout the Bible, social justice is integral in every single aspect. So you look at the Old Testament saying, blessed are those who look after the widow and the poor. If we look at Jesus and his behaviours and his interaction with people who are oppressed and the outcasts of society, and his teaching when he says, love your neighbour, and his neighbour is an oppressed race in the Good Samaritan. And you look at the early church and their interaction with the church in different locations, and Paul, when he says, I want to go to Europe to take the church to Europe, the church council says, yes, absolutely, as long as you continue to look after the poor. And so if I was to leave you with a Bible thought for this evening to take away, then it would be that of remember that social justice is God's justice, and the gospel is to love God and to love one another. Well, I'm running out of time, but I would not be doing my job as an advocate if I didn't take this opportunity to encourage you to learn more. And so you may want to check out our website, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. If you do have a look on our website, there's certain resources that you can sign up for, including this Cry for Justice resource. This is a monthly newsletter that includes all the content from the month and also has a specific focus on prayer and action regarding the social justice topic in question. So this month is racism, next month is sexism and gender equality, and so on throughout the year. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and you may have learned something and got something out of it. And so now back over to me in person to introduce the song for the evening.
The song I've chosen this evening doesn't really fit with what I've been talking to you about, but rather with something else that has been on my mind over the last 12 months. I don't know about you, but I've found it hard to sort of feel the presence of the Holy Spirit naturally. I think with the virtual meetings that we've been having, we have had that sort of learning aspect to our faith, but the sort of presence and the feeling aspect is something that we've had to really do and focus on an individual level, and that can be quite challenging. Now, a few weeks ago, I was reminded of a song that I used to sing in Sing Company, and actually the tune came to me first, and I had to try and work out what the words were to this tune that was in my mind. But I managed to find it. It's a song that you probably haven't heard for a while, and so I would like to share it with you tonight. And in doing so, I just want to highlight a couple of lines, and it says, because of his great love, he sent his only son. Everything was done so that you would come. I wish you a good evening and a very pleasant week.
Before the world began, you were on his mind, and every tear you cried is precious majesty in his eyes. Because of his great love, he gave his only son, and everything was done so you would come. And nothing you can do can make him love you more. And nothing that you've done could make him close the door. Because of his great love, he gave his only son, and everything was done so you would come. Come to the Father, though your gift is small. Broken hearts, broken lives, he will take them all. The power of the word, the power of his blood, and everything was done so you would come. Nothing you can do could make him love you more, and nothing that you've done could make him close the door. Oh, because of his great love, he gave his only son, and everything was done so you would come. Come to the Father, though your gift is small. Broken hearts, broken lives, he will take them all. Oh, the power of the word, the power of his blood, and everything was done so you would come. Come to the Father, though your gift is small. Broken hearts, broken lives, he will take them all. Oh, the power of the word, the power of his blood, and everything was done so you would come. The power of the word, the power of his blood, everything was done so you would come.
Right.